there.
Same here.
All right. Hey, you party people, it's Ned Crash. This is the technical first episode of Ned Consumes the World. This is the for sure first episode of Meet a CC. And today we're joined by, I like to say TMiB, but I think you say TMiB, right?
I do say TMiB, yes.
TMiB sounds
it,
more
it,
like a rapper name.
it kind of does, right? So TMiB is a name that I've used for many, 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 many years. It actually started off as words, the Man in Black, back in the dial-up BBS days. And at some point, I'm like, I'm sick of typing this for my signature, so I shortened it to just T period, M period, I period, B period. And then at some point, I'm like, why am I still using periods? And just got rid of them. So
There you go.
that's kind of the etymology of my screen name. So
Evolution of a handle.
yeah,
And that's what you've been using in games up to now, up to becoming a content creator. Yeah.
yep. I mean, I've used other names in specific games. In EverQuest, I used a completely different name.
Sure.
Although I did have a character with this name. In World of Warcraft, I used different names as well. I don't think I ever made a TMiB in WoW, but
Yeah, that's an interesting kind of psychological thing, I think, really, because same here, right? If I'm playing an MMO, I'm trying to come up with basically like an RP name for whatever type of character I'm playing. I have kind of maybe, I don't know, 5 to 10 names that I recycle that tend to have themes like, are they, a magic user? Are they a fighter? Are they kind of a dark fighter? But in a game where I don't care about any of that, I tend to just use my name. So like a Fortnite, any sort of PvP game, MOBA, I'm using Ned Crash. But for MMOs, I'm always naming the character.
I mean, I do the exact same thing. Other than something like Raid, I
Right.
don't really consider Raid really an RPG game per se. So, I use TMiB. And since I was coming from Raid to Godforge, it just kind of made sense that all the people who knew me already knew me as TMiB in Raid. So switching my name then just didn't seem like something I wanted to do.
Yeah, is that kind of how you found out about Godforge, was by being a Raid player?
Actually, one of my longtime friends has been playing Raid since beta.
Oh, wow.
And he got me into Raid about, a year and a month ago, because I just got my email from Plarium saying, hey, you've been with us for a year. And he was like, oh, yeah, so, that guy, Hell Hades, he's starting his own game. You should check it out. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Totally ignored him,
blew
right?
him
Like
off.
I don't need another game like this in my life.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. And then, so at some point he's like, "Oh, the beta signups opened up." I'm like, "Oh, what the hell? I'll go sign up for the beta." So I went, signed up for the beta, and then a couple months later, I get my invite to Alpha Wave 1. I'm like, oh my god, I got it. So I reached out to him and I'm like, dude, I'm in the alpha. And he's like, I'm not. so so he kind of lived vicariously through me the first wave, and that was really when I started thinking, oh, I'm sharing all this stuff with my buddy. I should do something else with it other than just sharing it to him via Google Chat. I should make some videos. And then second wave happened, and I'm like, yeah, I think I should. I think I should do this. I don't know why I didn't start this earlier in my life. I've been using the internet for some people's entire lifetimes at this point. Like,
Talking about the content piece of it.
yeah.
So that was your just decision out of the blue, is like, I'm going to make a video about how to do something. And then
Yep.
were you egged on by any of the Godforge people? Because I was.
No, not at all.
No? Okay.
Nope.
Nice.
No, I actually I made my first video before I was an official Godforge content creator, and then had found out about the program, and so I didn't post it. So I actually had to go back and rework it a little
Oh.
bit, because they added me to the content creation program, and that's when you get access to some of the cooler things like the logo. So the junky logo that I managed to pull off a screenshot using GIMP to get rid of the background, which didn't look all that great, looks amazing when you get the actual file from them and replace it. So that's kind of how that came about. And then I still have yet to get my content creator discount coupon for my channel.
Oh,
I don't know if you've gotten one yet, but if you've joined that content creation program, they will give you one that you can use to give out to people so that they can get discounts. So
I'm familiar with it, and maybe I have one. I haven't attempted to use it yet. If I do, I certainly haven't posted it. I probably should do that for my 15 subscribers.
I mean, I've got a little bit more than that at this point. I think I'm at 45 last time I checked. I can.
Yeah, your newest video I was watching earlier today, I think you're already up to like 80, 90 views. That was impressive.
That's 85 is what I think it is at. I'm at 45 subscribers today. I was at 46 yesterday, so somebody dropped out. But that's
Womp
fine.
womp.
And I'm at 84 views on the latest video, which I probably should have capitalized on by posting another one within a few days, but I decided to, take a week off.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, for anyone watching this in the future, or now who doesn't really know either of us, we're both brand new to this entire content creation concept. It sounds like it's something that you've thought about a bunch but never acted on. I've always had these plans of like things that I wanted to do, but I would try to think through making them perfect because that's the personality I have,
Yeah.
and then just never act on any of it. So I think I wanted to start my podcast 10 years ago. So if this continues and it actually builds into something, you get the honor of being the first guest on the
Yay.
10 years in the making podcast.
Oh, excellent. I'm there. I'm all for that. I think that's fantastic. I did some of that myself in days gone by. I am a forum moderator for an open source software, and at some point I thought, I should make videos for, this is how you go and configure this. This is how you go and do this. This is how you install it. Instead, I wrote text versions and put them on my website. And one of the things that I've been working on recently is making videos for all those things that I should have done, like, a decade ago when I started being a moderator. So right there with you on trying to make things too perfect.
Yeah.
You just kind of have to take that first step, though. So that's my biggest piece of advice to anybody who wants to get into this. It doesn't have to be perfect. Don't stress it being perfect. Make something, put it out there. If people like it, they're going to watch it. And if they don't, they're not.
Yeah, yeah. I took some advice from a couple of content creators that I really like, and one of his like parting things that he said to me before we got off the call, he was like, "Anything you think you want to do, anything you think you want to try, no matter how ambitious it sounds in your head, just do it. Just put it down, get it uploaded, and then move on and learn from it." And that's why so far I've done a lot of variety with my like 5 videos, but.
I think it's a good way to figure out what it is that you want to really do too, though, because everything in life is learned by trial and error, right? So by trying different formats, you're going to find one that you're like, yeah, this is my format. I'm going to stick with this one for most of my stuff, right?
Yeah.
And maybe when you do your other channels, if you do move on to other channels, and I think you're going to, maybe it's a totally different format. Either way, it's a learning experience. I think I spent a couple days watching videos, specifically some of the ones provided by the Godforge team on how to do different certain things. I think my stupid mic right here, I have changed the settings on after watching the same video like 4 times.
Oh.
Eventually, you'll get it to a point where you're happy with it, and that's great.
Yeah, I think mics are a big thing, right? Especially if we're thinking about this in terms of a podcast. And a lot of people say that they may have started with some kind of computer mic and then eventually they move on to like a Shure or some kind of XLR and with a mixer and all that. I'm still using the RGB HyperX, but so far in this and DaVinci and whatnot, it all sounds good. So I don't have any plans to change it at the moment.
I wouldn't unless you find there's a good reason to.
Yeah.
And I'm using a Blue Yeti.
That's the classic. That's like the OG start a podcast with this mic.
It totally is. That's actually one of the reasons why I grabbed one. That, and I was talking to one of my friends who does a lot of streaming, and that's what she recommended as my starting mic, years ago. She's a Twitch person, so.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I'll drop her name some point in the future. People can go check out her show if they like sewing and Star Wars.
Hey, feel free to drop any names, help anybody out here you want to. I don't know anybody that I don't want name dropped at the moment, so
That's fair.
I've gotten a lot of my equipment from watching streamers. So the Secret Labs chair, I'm mirrored,
Yep.
right? So I bought that because I was like, what do people who sit at the computer for 14 hours a day use as far as chairs go? So
And do you regret that purchase, or are you still
no,
happy with it?
I'm happy with it. I'm jealous because my partner, she got a Secret Lab after I got mine, and my pillow has the strap, and hers is magnetic,
Oh,
and so you
okay.
can get it
Mine.
like down by your neck on her chair. So, but I don't want to buy
I
another.
did. I did not buy a secret lab. I decided that I needed to be cheap. So I bought a no name. Well, I mean, it's got a brand name on it. I don't know what it is. Knockoff from Amazon for $110 or something. And I find that they're not very comfortable.
Oh yeah,
Maybe the secret labs are. My daughter has one. I sat in hers 2 months ago. I was house sitting for her, and it was all right. I just didn't find them very comfortable. So
yeah. They encourage a bad habit, which is sitting cross-legged, which is what I like to do when I'm playing a game. It's just not
okay,
really, I think, great on your posture and your knees and all that. But because it's got that wide seat, now you can get the
yeah.
racing bucket seat. I think it's the Omega, but it didn't fit me well. So I got the
Yeah.
one that encourages the bad behavior. But I did
My
just
my
buy.
daughter said the same thing to me.
Yeah,
Actually, she sits cross-legged in hers as well. So
yeah, it's perfect for that. I did just buy a second office chair though because for some of the content I'm going to be wearing a hat. In the Secret Labs, these high backs, they don't work for wearing a hat. So now I have $100 Staples chair that will only get rolled out when a hat is needed.
all right, I like that. Actually, that's amazing.
Well, it's interesting you said you didn't get egged on. I got egged on. I put down, first of all, that I wanted to join Alpha Wave 2. I just assumed because they made the statement about Alpha Wave 1 being kind of limited, that you really only apply for it if you really want to do it. I was like, that's fine. I don't care if I'm in Alpha Wave 1, so I'll do 2. And then, of course, by 2, it was like, everybody come in and do the Alpha, please. So it didn't feel quite as special. But right when I got in, there was a video that I wanted to make because I couldn't explain or show why something was working in the alpha chat. And I think it was Sneaky. Yeah, it was Sneaky was in the alpha chat with me during Alpha Wave 3. Sorry. It was 3 when I wanted to make the video. And all the HiveMind people had, abandoned alpha chat at that point. So it's like me, Sneaky, Sage, Shadow. I can't remember who else was in there, but I was like, I gotta just upload this so that y'all can see what's happening. Like, how do I record my footage? And so then, Sneaky's like, well, download OBS. I don't like Streamlabs, just get OBS. So I download OBS. It's easy. It works. It captures the footage flawlessly. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so much
It's
easier
really
than I thought it
intuitive
was.
too.
Yeah, very intuitive.
Yeah, especially if you're just trying to record a full screen. It's just you pick your source and you're done. And I was like, really, that's it?
Yeah, it's wild. And then of course I saw what Sneaky was doing with OBS, and that dude's a wizard. If you haven't gotten a chance to talk to him about some of the ways that he does stuff and sets it up, he's incredible. But so I got that video done. It was all about how Maria can annihilate ISIS, basically. And that was the first video I uploaded. And in the process of then trying to edit it, I'm like, well, what editing software do I use? Because I used to use Pro Tools when I was in college, and I don't want to pay for anything. So then Sneaky's like, well, download DaVinci. And DaVinci's really easy to use too. So I get the video done, and then of course he says, run it by Susie to see if you can upload it if you're not exploiting a bug. And the first thing Susie says is, oh, do you want to be a content creator? And I was like, I'm just trying to help everybody out here, but okay, what does that entail? And then of course Chloe jumps in, and Chloe's like, yeah, you should join the program. And here we are
All right.
weeks later after all that. But in my mind, I was like, I never set out to be a Godforge content creator. I've watched a tremendous amount of raid content I have watched a lot of Hell Hades, a lot of Ash. J Gigs is probably my favorite content creator on the planet, and it's interesting to me to think about doing content for Godforge when it launches, helping people out, but also trying to be silly. But really, in the back of my mind, it's like what we were talking about a little earlier before we started recording is the pushing you along to do the stuff that you've had in the back of your mind, right? All the projects that have been sidelined. And you mentioned the videos that they post that are really helpful. I think we're in a good place because this community that is centered around helping new content creators understand what they're doing it's really something special. I don't think that is common out in the world.
I have no idea if it's common or not. I was honestly completely blown away with the amount of help stuff that they had just to get new people off the ground. You're being kind of pushed into being a content creator by Susie and them is amusing to me because that's almost the opposite of what mine was.
Oh no, she didn't tell you no, did she?
No, she did not. But I had reached out to be like, okay, so I think I'm going to try to be a content creator. Who do I talk to? And I chose a really bad time to send a private message to ask that. So, a couple hours went by and I'm like, oh man, maybe I should try asking somebody else. So I reached out to the leader of my raid cluster, this little guy that maybe you've heard of named Chosen.
Oh, Chosen's leading your raid cluster. That's funny.
He's not anymore, but he was. And so I reached out to him because I had noticed that he was also, part of the Godforge team. I'm like, oh, perfect person to ask. And, maybe he'll recognize my name from the cluster. Probably not, but maybe. So he's like, yeah, I don't really have much to do with that side. You should totally talk to this other person. I'm like, okay, great. So, I reached out and talked to Susie about it. And so she's like, yeah, I can get back to you in a little while. I've got, some information that I need to get in line before I give it to you and all. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And so I got that. I got into the program. I got the information that I needed, and I started going through the Google Drive and was just completely blown away. And then at some point after that, I had posted a couple of videos. Susie reached back out, and she was like, do you want to come on as a guest onto the Godforge Fateless podcast? And I'm like, what? I've never done that before. Nice. So it was thrilling and scary as hell to begin with, right? Because I've never done anything like this before. I didn't know what to expect. So I started asking questions. And she's like, well, it's going to be led by Brad, and Brad's going to kind of direct people to when they talk, sort of to some extent. He'll be like, oh, so we started with so and so last time, so we're going to start with you this time, type of stuff, like he does in the videos. And I'm like, okay, that sounds great. That's awesome. So, I got off the conversation with her and immediately reached out to my buddy and was like, I'm going to be on a Godforge podcast. He's like, that's amazing. And I'm like, I just have one question. Do you know who the hell this Brad guy is?
You didn't know Brad was chosen. That's awesome.
I had not made the connection that Brad was chosen. So after we did the whole podcast video, I'm like, I got to tell you a story, Brad, because I think you're going to find it amusing. So I told him the story that I literally just told here now, and he was chuckling at me because that's just amazing. Here's this person that's like this super persona in the early raid, and it still is, even though he doesn't really do raid content anymore. And he's in Fateless, and so now he's really, really big on that and doing their podcasts. And I had no idea the two people were the same.
That's funny. I followed them in Diablo Immortal. So I was watching a lot of Darth Micro at the time, if you know Darth Micro. Now he's a big...
I know the name.
He's a big ARPG content creator now, but he was big in Raid for a while there. And he jumped to Diablo Immortal with this cluster of Aftershock guilds. And they kind of arranged things where it was the most spendy or try hard in the top. And then I think I ended up in the next layer down. And I believe...
So are you in ASU as well?
Only for Diablo Immortal for a month.
Oh, okay.
That was my only experience with it. But I was watching a lot of Chosen stuff because he was kind of herding the cats and organizing everything. There was spreadsheets that we were filling out trying to
Yep.
get everybody in the right spot. And I remember, I believe this is true, that Darth won, or he either won or we were trying to prop him up as the first, whatever that term is in Diablo Immortal, when you win the PvP competition and one person
Okay.
can become like a giantified and exalted with angel wings and stuff. And then after that, I was like, all right, I think I'm done. Like I played through the loop once of Immortal, and I have no intention to spend six figures. So
Yeah.
moving on.
That's fair.
That's funny
That's
though.
good stuff. Yeah, I'm actually still in ASU for raid, so
Yeah,
yeah,
raids.
representing.
What can you say about raid? It's on top for a reason. It's got great gameplay. It's interesting. For me, I've quit 3 times now. I think the first time I quit was because it was right when they rolled out Hydra, and I just like I got salty. I was like, I'm not gonna do this. It's like I'm not happy with my score. There's like a reason. The term escapes me right now. There's an incentive. There's an incentive for you to waste your time because it's like I'm not happy with the score that I'm getting. Jump back out, jump back in, jump back out,
Yep.
jump back in, and you're spending 8-10 hours trying to post a score on a weekly challenge on top of everything else they want you to do. So that was the first time, and then the second time was after they rolled out the Crimson City thing.
Oh, the Cursed City.
Curse City, yeah. And I liked that. I liked that addition to the game. But then I still found myself falling back into the trap of like, try to post a great score for Hydra, clean up the clan boss team, make sure you do everything every day. And even if you're just setting the phone down over here, your phone's running raid like 6+ hours a day. And
Easily.
again, I'm just like, I need to do something else with my time.
Yeah.
And then you find that
I hear that.
I
Yeah.
don't know if you've had a similar experience or not, but I found that my queue of games that I wanted to actually beat, just like solo single player experiences, like a Final Fantasy or something, they just were never touched. Because
Yep.
if I'm spending brain power, I'm actually like gear cleansing or something like that, right?
Exactly. The interesting thing about the Godforge Alpha's ending was like I actually went back to playing some of those games on Steam. That, it's like, oh, this game came out. I should check that out. Okay, well I've got Raid. Oh, now I've got Godforge. Okay, Godforge
Yeah.
is done. I don't really want to go back to that grinding. All right, MechWarrior 5, Mercenaries, newest DLC, Shadows of Kerensky. Here we go. All right. So yeah, I hear you. The list of games that I currently own that I haven't even fired up yet is getting a little too long.
Yep. Yep. I still need to beat Elden Ring. I never beat it. I still need to play Final Fantasy 16. I own it and haven't played it. I hate that. That's like a Steam habit, getting things on
It is.
sale and just building up the catalog.
Yep.
But yeah, what other gaming? Because I told you kind of the theme of the podcast: games, music, and culture. But what other
Yep.
gaming is important to you? Whether it's a video game or a non-video game, but kind of throughout your life.
So I had actually thought about that at least a little bit since you told me that that was going to be one of the things that we were discussing, and I came to two conclusions. The first is that I wish I could show you the wall behind my monitors because it is just lined from one end to the other on two shelves with Dungeons and Dragons, Shadowrun, Cyberpunk, MERPS, Middle Earth,
Nice.
White Wolf, all the various different tabletop games that I've played over my course of my life. Starting with the very very first one I ever played was the Dungeons and Dragons Red Box set,
Interesting.
which is like iconic. They re-released that box when the Stranger Things
Oh, okay.
box that they put out a couple of years back. It's just like almost the exact same box. Contents are different, but so I feel like role-playing games and tabletop role-playing games are a big centerpiece of who I am in my life.
Mm.
Just because a lot of my friends also were into those into or I got them into these role-playing games, these tabletop games. And I have a group that I've been playing with for years. I think the current group started about 10 years ago. However, 3 of the people in the group or longer than that. We've been gaming together for over 20 years
Wow.
together. We play every Friday night, with the exception of the second thing I'm going to mention. Uh, Occasionally, we have to take breaks for something else. And that something else is, I don't know if you have ever heard of LARPing,
Oh yeah, good old LARPing.
live action role playing. So I have been LARPing for more than half of my
Oh
life.
wow.
There are people who only knew me by my character name for years and years because they were part of the community. Um, that is the name that I used there was Dark, and that is also the name that I used for World of Warcraft.
Hmm. How'd you get
So
that? You got dark
Dark,
in World of Warcraft, or did you have to use some
I,
strange K with like an umlaut or something?
I actually had to spell it Darque in order to
Nice,
get it. So
nice.
it's not how I spelled it in the LARP, but
That is what it
it
is.
worked, and I wanted to perpetuate that. So
You know, LARPing is one of those things I don't have any experience with. I'm obviously aware of it. I've played a number of the games that you mentioned, including Cyberpunk. I played Cyberpunk when I was in middle school. I got really
yep,
lucky that I met some people who knew how it worked. Like Friday Night Firefight is not an easy combat
no,
system
it's
to
not.
understand. And those are my most like cherished tabletop memories is playing with that group of people at like a daycare, I think. I think it was like an after school care when I was
Okay,
pretty darn young, but I can still remember the things that happened to my character from
that's
back
awesome.
then. But I've never messed with LARPing, and I have questions because I've always tried
Sure,
to
yeah.
understand how the combat and the ramifications work. Because it's not like you don't want to roll a die in the middle of an engagement face to face because that's going to break whatever sort of ambiance you've set or role playing that's happening. So I mean, is it really as simple as if I tap you with my staff or sword, you lose that limb, and then you have to hop around, or like what does it
So
manifest as when there's ramifications to combat?
So there is lots of different LARP systems. There are systems where you have hit points and you have armor, and if you get hit in a location, and the damage is higher than your armor, you lose some of your armor, but then you subtract the damage they called out by the remaining armor, and that's how many hit points you take. In particular, I think that's how Nero used to work. I was not a person who attended Nero. The game that I play uses a hit system where you get hit in the arm, you lose the arm unless you have armor. It has 2 points of armor, so the first hit to your armor is armor one. Well, there's two different types of armor, light and heavy. Light is 1 point, heavy is 2 points. So if I have light armor and you hit me in the arm twice, it's armor one and arm, and then I can't use my arm until somebody casts a heal limb on it.
Hmm.
If I have heavy armor, it's two hits to the arm before you get through the armor, and then the third hits take you lose the arm. There's no dice involved at all in the game that I play. The combat is very, very fast. The weapons have become ultra light, and the people who do really, really good at it are people who are really fast in practice.
Hmm.
Like there's this neat curve where if you start going to fight practices and you really practice and fight against people who are a lot better than you will get better over time. And
Oh,
at
I
some point,
lost your
people will
audio.
start thinking, uh oh.
And we're back. So yeah, I think you were kind of explaining the difference between the light armor, the heavy armor, and then the corresponding effects on how people have adapted to the combat. And I'm picturing in my mind that you have to sort of. I wonder if it becomes its own style of fighting, right? Because with foam
It does.
weapons or something, they're so light, it's not going to feel like, you know, swinging a hammer or anything like that.
It is a completely different type of combat than you would have using real heavy weapons. It's kind of it's kind of more like a fencing style
Hmm.
where you get in and you hit as fast as you can, and hopefully you hit the person enough times to kill them before they hit you back too many times to kill you. There's tournaments events, there's feast events, there's events that are just pure questing where you go out into the woods, and the people who throw these events have written plots and
Oh,
made
cool.
props, and there are other players who come out to play NPCs. They play specific roles. Gosh, what else can I say about it? It's kind of like, I mean, you're familiar with Dungeons and
Yep.
Dragons. You've played tabletop before, so you've got a few people sitting around the table, and you've got the DM, and the DM is tells you what happens when you roll the dice. Plays a bunch of different characters, right? So in a LARP, it's like that on steroids, because you're there. You've got the people who are the DM, so to speak. You've got the NPCs, but they're all played by different people.
Yeah.
And so different people do things different ways. And then you've got, 50 to 500 other people who are playing their own characters. It is so much more dynamic than sitting around a table. Like that's the one thing that I think it beats over tabletop. That, and, going out and being physically active and running around in the woods wearing armor and swinging
Yeah.
foam weapons at your friends is also a lot of fun. But the dynamicness of LARPing is really, I think, what kept me going for so long.
What's the frequency of it, and then what's the length of a typical session?
So that depends. Depends on the time of year mostly. I live in New England. New England, once it gets really cold out, people are less apt to go outside and run around in the woods. So we call that feast season. A lot of the events are indoors, revolve around multi-course meals. That's where I was last weekend, as I was at a feast cooking for. I don't remember how many people were there. I think around 100-ish.
Themed cooking, like medieval style dishes. That's cool.
Some of it's medieval style. Some of it is just, hey, we think that this people would like this. We have a long history and tradition of feastocrats, which are the people who cook.
Okay.
We have an order called the Order of the Spoon, which is, you've been now recognized as being a feastocrat for, X number of years. So congratulations, you get a wooden spoon and they paint it for you. It's actually a lot cooler than it sounds. I have mine upstairs on the wall.
Yeah.
But there is, generally speaking, a session is a weekend. So
Okay.
if
Whole
it's a
weekend.
long weekend, then it's usually, Friday night through Monday, if Monday's a holiday.
One single session, so the act of going to sleep and everything is still in character.
Depends on the event. Some events are 24-hour live, which is what you just described. Is you show up on site, you check in. Once you've checked in, you're live, and your character can be affected the entire time that you're there. Other events will break for dinner, or 11 o'clock at night or something. The night quest ends, and there's no official content anymore. So it's more like, okay, the NPCs need some sleep, and so we're gonna go, have a fire and hang out, and maybe some people are gonna dance around the fire, or maybe there's gonna be some bardics. People get out and sing and recite poetry, and tell stories. One of the things that I think that is very prevalent in the group that I play with are no shit stories. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear, but they all usually start with no shit, there I was.
Oh.
And then they go into the story, right? I actually just heard one at the feast I was at this past weekend, which is amusing to me because I haven't paid much attention to the game the last year, or so to speak. Anybody can become an event holder in this game. Which basically means that you throw a legal event, you have a certain number of people show up, and you use the rules that we get together every year to revise and revamp. I guess I could name drop on that one. It's realmsnet.net is the site where you can get the rules from.
Okay.
The group is not owned by anyone, so there's nobody here trying to make a profit off of it, or there shouldn't be. The rules are written by the players and the event holders. We get together every year and have a players meeting. And then after that, we have an event holders meeting where we actually vote on proposals to change the rules. So the rules are constantly evolving over time, which is a good and a bad thing. It means that if you take a break, you have to go pick up that rule book because things might have changed.
Yeah.
Overall, though, the core of it started off as a fighting game. It started off as we're going to go hit our friends. And it was kind of an offshoot of a group called the SCA, or the Society for Creative Anachronism. But they have armor requirements because you're actually hitting each other with rattan.
Oh, okay.
And so I guess people decided they didn't want to have to wear super heavy armor and, risk hurting their friends a lot by hitting them with these wooden swords.
Yeah.
So they started doing what was called boffer combat, which is the foam weapons.
Okay.
Foam weapons, when I started, were made out of PVC pipe. Now it's moved to ultralight materials. Fiberglass cores are pretty popular. Bamboo is really popular right now because if it's sealed, even on the ends, it's bendy. So it has a tendency to last a really long time unless it dries out. And if it dries out, then you just take a swing and you hit somebody's shield, it just cracks and the weapon's done.
And that's, like you said, the core, but it's wrapped in a foam?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I wish I had a weapon nearby. I would show you, but
no,
do that off camera later.
This is really cool because it's kind of what I was saying in the messages about the podcast topic, is that starts to blur the line between gaming and culture, right? Like it's very much maybe somebody started it as let's go hit our friends in the woods, and we came up with some rules. But now you start to blend in all these different things, and then you make it a weekend endeavor, and then you're seeing the same people, and then you're becoming invested in their characters, or like you talked about the feast, and now it's become a culture, right? Now it's like a phenomena. Yep. It's not just a set of rules that we play a game by. Yeah. And I think community is at the core of maybe any culture, whether that's a community of 1 billion people or a community of 5 people, right? I agree. That's really cool, though. Where's the farthest you've traveled to go to? Would you call it a session?
Go to one of these. We call them events.
Events, okay.
Most of the ones so the game that I play in is based mostly in New England. So I think the furthest event might be Connecticut. I don't think we've ever had one in Maine, but I could be wrong. And I know that there's a group of players who live in New York, but I don't know that they've actually thrown an event in New York. I think they've come to New Hampshire or Massachusetts or Vermont. It's generally in that vicinity of the country. Now, there are other groups that are countrywide. Nero comes to mind, used to be pretty close. The SCA is most colleges have an SCA chapter. I can't really speak a whole lot definitively on them. I know that they've divided the area up into kingdoms. So this, where I am, is the East Kingdom. They have a market day called Burka every year. I think it's in February up in New Hampshire, where you can go and you can buy garb. So there's people there who sell weapons, and basically, if you go to a Renaissance fair and you see the merchants there, it's the same type of thing, except for it's done in a hotel and everybody dresses up and goes. And there's usually a competition with the heavy list fighters. Those are the people who wear the real armor and hit each other with rattan weapons. Yeah. Looks like a lot of fun. I think I'd break myself, honestly.
I have seen the full armor actual combat at a Renaissance fair, where those people come out and just beat the hell out of each other with actual blunted axes and maces and all that. But it seems like it's like any other sort of martial art to me, where it all devolves into ground wrestling, right? Like after you get a swing or two off, you're grappled and you're trying to use your weight to get the other person to fall over.
I mean, I think it depends on what rule set they're using too, because at a Renaissance fair, they're doing it to entertain people. And so they might think that it is more entertaining to watch two heavily armored individuals, clash and then wrestle. I don't know.
I think, at least the one that I saw, I think that the rule set was just last one standing. So battle royale style, last one standing, and there was a lot of tripping and a lot of wrestling.
So once you're on the ground, you're out type of stuff?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and somebody messed their knee up. This was the one time I saw it, but I was like, it's not worth it. That's not the the place to have messed your knee up.
Yeah, so I have actually had knee surgery because of a
Oh
wound that
goodness.
I received at a LARP event. I have a my lateral meniscus was torn in half.
Oh my gosh. Just like
So
falling or taking a bad step or.
s- somebody we were doing a big line battle where you've got a whole bunch of people line up and then they clash in the middle of the
Ooh, that
field,
sounds exciting.
and it is really one of the people from my own team ran and collided with me, and they fell and hit the side of my leg, and my leg just kind of,
Ooh,
yeah.
that's that
I'll
football
stop
injury.
talking about that there, but it was, yeah. It was. It still hurts to this day. They couldn't actually fix it the way they thought they could. But maybe in a few years they'll give me a bionic one, and I'll be
Oh,
faster
there
or
you go.
whatever.
All we got to do is live long enough for the AI gene splicing robots to come save us all from our
I
injuries.
I'm thinking more like the $6 billion Man, the
Yeah,
old TV show.
this
Like,
straight cybernetics.
that'd be great. Love it. I'm still waiting for my flying car. Just saying.
Yeah, yeah. I think I just saw like the Chinese flying taxi car drones have started hitting each other or
Really?
something like that.
Oh
So
no.
it's we'll see some cool stuff, but I'm not thinking we'll catch the Jetsons before our days are over.
Maybe, maybe not. I mean, technology progresses pretty quickly,
It
so
does. It does. It's
I mean, it's not that long ago that we were using this little thing called a modem to dial up to get our internet.
oh yeah,
And now we're using fiber optics to our homes, or at least I am. A lot of people are.
yeah. I
That's a
never.
huge leap forward in a short period of time.
I'm not on. Well, I guess I'm on fiber. I'm not on gig where I'm at. I'm on like half a gig, but I just don't ever pay attention anymore.
This phone is more powerful than the computer I used to play World of
Yeah,
Warcraft on.
for sure.
Like, and that's just in our lifetime. Like, can you imagine adding another 20 years where technology is going to be? It's going to be amazing.
It's wild. It moves so
I'm
quickly.
a little bit of an optimist when it comes to technology.
Well, let's see. So we talked a little bit about culture. We talked about games. I'm curious to hear about the role of music in your life, and then um, talk a little bit about with your content creation journey. Have you started to dabble in trying to find music like intros and outros and theme music? It's a thorn in my side at the moment.
So I have not dabbled with finding music yet. However, as a Godforge content creator, you can use the Godforge music.
Yeah, the orchestral
Um,
soundtrack I did in one of my
yeah,
videos.
I have not used it yet. My very first video that I made, I actually used the opening with music and took it out.
Oh, copyright.
I was afraid that I might get hit for copyright violation
Yeah.
because it is a pretty well known Black Sabbath song.
Oh yeah, yeah. You
Yeah.
don't want to use
It's
that.
only it was only like the opening like 4 seconds,
Right.
but still, I mean, they're gonna ding me for it. And while I could probably claim fair use, I certainly am not going to be paying Black Sabbath for the rights to use their music in my little tiny YouTube channel
Right.
either. So, when it comes to that, I haven't done a whole lot with like making my own music, but I have been thinking recently that I have a friend who likes making electronic music, and I was thinking that if I talk to him some more, I could find out what tools he uses, and maybe dabble with that a little bit. Overall, I have to say that I'm not a very musically inclined individual. I don't play any instruments. You don't want to hear me sing. I'm pretty much tone deaf. What I do though is I like a large variety of music. Now I say that, and what I used to tell my friends is like, if you look at my music collection, you'll find everything from Simon and Garfunkel to Slayer. You know,
Nice.
so I like some of the older music, the Simon and Garfunkel Bridge Over Troubled Water era. The greatest hits album I've owned 3 times in 3 different formats. I really love old Black Sabbath. I fell in love with Iron Maiden in junior high school,
Yes.
and I still listen to them today.
Yep.
Bruce Dickinson is a vocal god. What else about music? I've been recently been listening to a lot more Metallica because they now have their own channel on Sirius XM,
And it's just their
channel
music?
42 in my area. It's all Metallica,
Huh.
which I was like, that's interesting. When did this happen?
That's a
The
massive body
first
of work.
time it is also when you add in all of their live shows, because apparently they've recorded all of their
Oh,
live stuff
they're
as
going the
well.
jam band route. Okay.
So there's quite a few times where I've turned the radio on the drive to work, and it's like, hey, this is live. Interesting.
Yeah.
And you read the screen, and it's like, the Denmark 2008.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, well, that might mean something to somebody other than me.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I know where Denmark is. I didn't know that it was a show. I couldn't have told you it was in 2008.
You have the
No idea what they
1%
played.
of the fan base that's like collects
Yeah.
the bootlegs and has their favorite
Yep.
show and all that.
Well, I mean, I think that ties into what you were just saying with the jam band, because Grateful Dead, Fish. There are people who used to follow them around, and they have recordings upon recordings upon recordings. I have a friend
Yeah.
who followed the Dead around for a while, and they used to pay people to be able to plug directly into the soundboard so they could get better recordings.
Yep, yep.
So
That's an interesting culture. The whole
it
jam
is.
band follow. I have a friend who does that for Leftover Salmon. They're like a jam
Okay.
grass band. And he does all their live show mixing. So somebody will capture the audio and then he'll go in and mix it. So he's actually heard like everything they've ever done that's a bootleg because he's touched it, you know.
Huh.
And
Oh, that's neat.
yeah, it's when I associate it with jam bands, but that's what's interesting about hearing you say that Metallica's doing that. I guess like Dave Matthews Band wouldn't really be a jam band, but they've done that. Bela Fleck's done that. But to have not only a body of diverse work enough to have a radio station, but to then blend in bootlegs and live recordings, that's a really neat idea. I
It is.
often don't
I
give
thought it was
Metallica
brilliant.
the credit they deserve.
They so I like older Metallica.
Yeah.
Some Metallica fans will probably hate me for saying this, but pretty much anything after the Black Album, and I just don't listen to it. The one exception to that is when they got together with the orchestra and started doing the orchestral and heavy metal fusion thing, which I thought was phenomenal.
Yeah.
So a lot of their music lends itself very, very well to not being heavy metal. Weirdly, there is a group called Apocalyptica, who are three or four bass cellos, and they got their start playing Metallica songs. No lyrics, just three bass cellos,
Just three bass.
and it sounds really good.
Yeah, there's some really
So
cool cover stuff out there like that. And then the Iron Maiden and the cello thing makes me think of. Have you ever heard of a band called Murder by Death?
I have not.
They're I don't really know how you would describe them anymore. They're kind of folksy, Americana, edgy. They were really popular during the sort of late 2000s hipster movement. But the cellist, because they have cello, has an Iron Maiden sticker on her cello. And I remember a lot of my friends and I just being obsessed with her because it's like, here's this beautiful woman playing cello on stage, and she's got an Iron Maiden sticker slapped right on the cello.
That's awesome.
That was a cool T-shirt too. I had a Murder by Death T-shirt that was like two six shooters crossed, and it had all the Western language. And then I got too big to fit in it. So
That happens over time,
yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah. Now we're on the quest. I need to see if I got that in a box somewhere. The quest to fit back in that T-shirt.
I mean, either that or you could like put it in something to hang on the wall.
Yeah, yeah. I walked into a computer component shop, of all things, an independent computer store the other day. They still exist. And
Yep.
they did that, right? They had this huge display going all the way around like the top, a couple of rows of t-shirts that they had shadow boxed and hung. And my first thought was, that's awesome. I want to do that. My second thought was, wow, there's a lot of those, and that's taken up a lot of wall space. And then I was like, I can't do that at the house. I mean, maybe if I had one room that was dedicated to it, but this
Well, even
background,
if you only if you do a couple,
if
though,
you do a
you
couple,
don't need
yeah.
to do a bunch. You can just do a few, have them in your background here.
Yeah, this background I'm working on, I bought a river. Are you familiar with river tables?
I'm not.
So a river table is,
Oh wait, no, is that the one that has the really cool
yeah,
resin?
exactly, the resin down the middle. So I bought a river table off somebody off Etsy a couple years ago, and he shipped it to me, and it melted in the vehicle. So by the time
Oh,
it got to me, it was warped and unusable as a table. And I've sat on it for a few years because he didn't want it back. He made me another table, but he didn't want that one
oh,
back
that's
because
good.
they're heavy. So I cut it up recently, and I plan to hang it on the wall behind me and backlight it with LEDs. But it's becoming this big like undertaking project of like not ripping the wall down with the weight and hiding the LEDs. So look forward to that in a video someday. That background is this really artsy river table piece.
I think you just described a multi-part video series.
Yeah,
Like you should totally record yourself as you do that and putting it up because there's going to be people who are like,
how
"Oh,
do you
that's
do
awesome!
that?
How did you do that?"
That's a good idea. I didn't think about that. Now I wish I had B-roll footage of the table being cut. I had to find somebody who actually knew how to do it. Because if you use the
Really?
wrong
Because
blade,
it's epoxy, right?
there's
Like the rivers are.
epoxy, there's dense finished wood, and if you did it wrong, there's no way to join the two independent pieces of wood without seeing it if you pour epoxy. So some people will do like a butterfly joint and they'll put a piece of wood that's marrying the two independent pieces of wood together. This table was just joined by the bond of the epoxy. So you can imagine ripping a saw through it, the vibrations
Oh.
can potentially break the bond. And, I had a professional do it, and I'm glad I did, because if I'd tried to do it with a handsaw or something outside, I would have probably busted it all to pieces.
That's pretty cool.
That's back to me overthinking things, right? I'm like, I have to find a professional to cut my art project table.
You do what you have to do. I mean, I upstairs I have a it's a crappy table from like one of those chain furniture places, but we put a custom made tablecloth on it and a piece of Lexan or plexiglass or whatever you want to call it. We've used that as our D&D table for years because it's 1 inch squares.
Oh,
So the
nice.
tablecloth is the squares and the Lexan is on top, so you
Ah,
can
that's a good idea.
dry erase marker, etc.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about
I
that.
was I was so nervous about cutting the piece of Lexan, I had somebody else do it.
Yeah, that's a
So
cool idea. Being able to temporarily draw on your table for scenarios that are playing out. I these days I'm more of a board game player than tabletop.
okay.
But we always think about that. We're like, what's the perfect gaming table? Does it have little felt kickouts and things to place your pieces and dice in?
Well, the nice part about this type of setup is you can always just throw another tablecloth over it, and it just looks like a table.
Oh, there you go. Then you.
You do have to worry about people cutting through your tablecloth and ruining your Lexan or your glass. We actually have one spot where somebody cut something on a paper plate at game
Oh,
and went through the paper plate, and so there's like this nice little gouge. But I mean, it happens. We've had it for a decade now,
it
so I'm surprised
happens.
it's in as good condition as it
We
is.
have one of those plastic box openers. It's like a plastic blade, and I assume that it can cut boxes, but nothing else. And I got my Godforge Alpha Tester mug, and it was wrapped in stuff that I couldn't like take apart. And I used that box cutter to like very gently slit the material, and I totally cut into
Okay.
the Godforge logo. So now I have
Oh
a
no!
nice little gash in my Godforge coffee mug.
It's combat damage.
There you go. There you go. It earned it.
I did not buy the mug. I bought
That's
the
cool. That's the
hoodie.
hoodie, right? I wish I'd bought the hoodie.
Yeah.
That's what I should have done.
So the sad thing about that is that I have two. I have this one because they put this one out during the last wave, but I had just 2 weeks prior ordered the non alpha tester one that they had
Oh
on their
yeah.
site. And so when they announced the alpha tester one, I'm like, "Hon, I think I need to buy another hoodie." And she's like, "Why?" So I showed it to her, and she's like, "Yeah, you definitely need to get that." So now I use it on my chair most of the time, just because it's not quite cold enough to have to wear it all the
Oh,
time.
yeah. Not. I don't. It does get cold where you are, but maybe not in the basement.
No, well, unless the air conditioner's on.
Well, we started with Godforge. Let's end on Godforge. There was one thing you said that I meant to ask you about, which was you got invited to the Fateless podcast, and I know they always ask if you could have any character or faction added, who would it be? So I'm curious, what did you say? Has it happened? And would you change it now?
They when they asked that question, I was not prepared to answer it. So it was kind of immediately like, well, you guys already. I put the Egyptian pantheon in.
Yeah,
I've always been
thanks for that.
fascinated by ancient Egypt. And so if I had to say, like, one, I picked Anubis. So Anubis was my favorite in Wave 1 and Wave 2. Got a little outshined in Wave 3,
Yeah.
but that's because I got my Anubis late compared to when I got some of the other characters. So definitely Anubis. Totally awesome. I love him. What I wish I had said is I wish that they had added in Phobos and Deimos, the twins, Terror and Fear.
Yeah.
So part of the reason behind that is my character in the LARP I was telling you about had several different names over the 18 years that I played the character before he died. And the final name that he had was player driven. The players decided that they were going to cast magic spells and kind of shove him back in the bottle, so to speak, because he went super uber evil. And so they took like the good portions of his soul and the bad portions of his soul and kind of Play-Doh'd him back together and gave him a new name, and that name was Deimos. So Deimos and Phobos, the twins, are one of those things that's like I've never really seen them in any games. Maybe I've just missed it.
Yeah,
But I don't even think they were in God of War at all. So
that's cool. That's a good one. I'm sure they will, because that's a pantheon they already
yeah,
have.
yep. So if you were to be invited on the Godforge podcast, what would your answer be?
I've been thinking about it because I have kind of too many. I have too many answers. I am 100% lobbying right now for Rabbit of Caer Banog. I know that that's not an actual mythical figure, but it may as well be because you have that look on your face, Killer Rabbit from Monty Python. The official name is Rabbit of Caer Banog.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like
You're absolutely right.
you can shove it right into the Arthur stuff. It makes total sense.
Yep.
It's UK lore at this point. It's
And
pre
they can put a
gunpowder.
weapon out too.
The
The Holy
holy
Hand
hand
Grenade of
grenade.
Antioch.
Yeah, and we were thinking about that. Whoever I was talking to in chat, and it was like you just have the animation be like 1, 2, 5, like over its head, and then the hand grenade goes
Yeah,
out, and
it'd be great.
the core is like go for the jugular, or the ultimate is go for the jugular. It just flies over and have if they're gonna put in a bunch of blood effects. I mean, they do for Dracula, right? So
Yeah, I think that's I like that.
that's the one I'm gonna lobby the
I'll
hardest for.
sign on for that. You should put a petition together. I'll sign it.
Yeah, maybe we can start that in ELT. We'll get a
Yeah,
rabbit petition going.
we totally should.
And it's like that's I guess maybe just part of my personality. No matter how serious that game is, I still want some inside jokes. I still want some like fun little things that are in there. Pandora kind of is, right? I mean, she's legit, but she's kind of a joke with the way that oh shit the box, you know.
Yeah, the first time I saw that was on the loading screen.
Yeah,
I loaded in and it was her, and I was like, "Who the hell?" And then I saw the box start to open, and she does the emote and closes it quickly. I'm
yeah,
like, "It's Pandora." Wow, wow.
it's a fun one.
That was I liked that. That was good stuff.
The technical answers, I think the things from like a mythological and historical standpoint that I want that maybe aren't in the game yet is I'm in camp Native American lore with everybody. I think there's a lot of really cool Native American mythology that's out there, and heroes from different tribes that they've had over time. They said pre-gunpowder, I think, in something that I read. And there's certainly Native American culture that's pre-gunpowder, but like immediately in my mind, one of the things was Two Guns. Two Guns is a big Blackfeet hero. He's obviously post-gunpowder, but Two Guns' face was the Washington Redskins logo when they were the Redskins. And so whenever they moved on to the Commanders and dropped the logo, they actually kind of angered the Blackfeet people because they were proud to have two guns up there. So
Yeah.
if they ever go post gunpowder and they had a Native American mythology, I would love to see two guns. And then I think that's where you put Sasquatch, because there's all the tribes have different names for the spirit that ultimately we refer to as like Bigfoot or Sasquatch. And if you spend any time in the Pacific Northwest, you go to like the Bigfoot Center. They've got a big wall with all the different names from all the different tribes. So
That's awesome.
that's one. And then the last one, and this is why I have too many. The last one is Afro-Caribbean mythology. So when you had the whole...
You're going to have to explain that one to me.
Yeah. When you had the whole slave trade going on a long time ago, and the cultures, came over and became not only tribal but removed from each other, they began to sort of create new versions of culture and mythology that they had from their African tribal and religious past.
Okay.
So that's where like candomblé and voodoo and Santeria all comes from. They're almost like a blend of Catholicism with African animist tradition and whatnot. So you have, especially in Brazil with candomblé, you have like Oshu is like their equivalent of Loki, is like a trickster god. And he's got all sorts of really cool stories and allegories that are important to that group of people. And there's a ton of those. I forget what the word for God or spirit is, but there's just a ton of those. Loa. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. So, and they tend to be similar to each other. When you look at Santeria, Candomblé, and Voodoo, they're very similar to each other in terms of like, this name comes from a Nairobi tradition, and it's like a, Portuguese or Spanish or whatever, like version of that word. So that would be really cool for them to mix in, because I think it's a culture and a people that don't always get the spotlight. And especially for those of us who are, we've seen Zeus in a game 1,000 times. We've seen Tiamat in a game 1,000 times, right? Yeah. But I've never seen Oshu in a game, right? Or Eshu, I think some people call him. So that's one.
Or Samedi, or
Baron Samedi.
Papa what? Papa Legba.
Legba? I don't know that one.
It's Papa Legba.
I was thinking Papa Doc.
I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's Papalegba. It's a Loa spirit in Haitian voodoo.
Okay.
Which is, of course, derived from African spiritual traditions, like you were just talking about. So, he's one of the spirits of the crossroads.
Okay. And then, of course, Afro tradition, anything from the tribes over time. And I know they've got room, so those are the legit ones that I'd like to see. But top of the list is Rabbit of Carabanog. They can implement it today. They can make it today.
They could, yeah. They just have to have somebody do the artwork for it.
Yeah, and they like the anthropomorphic thing, so it's just a little bunny sitting in your lineup.
They might have to change the name, though, as it may be owned by Monty Python.
Yeah, I don't know if it's trademarked or not. That's the name of
I don't...
If you Google Killer Rabbit, that's what pops up. I don't even know if Monty Python trademarks or copyrights their character names or anything. I bet they don't. Or didn't.
I don't know. I'm concerned. I'm concerned that they might have to change the name simply because of copyright, which I'm fine with, because everybody's going to look at it and be like, yes, I know exactly what that is.
Yeah.
Assuming they're Monty Python fans in the slightest.
Yeah, and if they put that in, then they can put in Tim, and that's its own bag of fun right there. Well, yeah, thanks for joining TMiB, not TMiB, rapper name. I appreciate it, and looking forward to doing some more stuff in the future.
Thanks for having me, and everybody else out there. Until next time.
Peace.